Hi, and welcome to Community Hotline. My name is Monica Weitzel. We're here at MetroEast Community Media in Gresham, Oregon. If you're a regular viewer of Community Hotline, you know that normally we interview 3 different nonprofits every week and try to find out what they're doing in the community. Tonight's show is going to be a special show. We're going to be talking with one organization about Peer Court. Peer Court is a program of Northwest Family Services, an organization that we have interviewed here before, but this is a special program recently taken over from the PAL League, and we're going to talk with several different people that are involved with the organization. We're going to start out tonight with talking with Shelley Keller, who is an attorney and Peer Court judge. Welcome, Shelley. Nice to have you here. And Travis Garrison is the school resource officer, and you're with the Gresham Police Department. Nice to have you here. So the Peer Court, as I said, is an organization, a program of Northwest Family Services. And Peer Court obviously isn't just a regular court. Shelley, tell me just a little bit about it. How is Peer Court different from the regular court that you usually preside over?
Well, the Peer Court is different in that all of the participants besides myself are students. And so the people who are brought before the Peer Court are students. The prosecutors who prosecute the cases are students. The defense attorneys are students. Wow. And the jury is made up of students. So
that is a little bit different. But this is a real court.
It is. It's a diversion program for cases that are real cases that are criminal.
It's not like a mock trial or anything like that.
It is not. And I mean, we don't hold to the formal rules of evidence and, you know, require those kinds of things. But it is a real diversion court. There are real charges. These kids have really been charged with crimes, and they do get real consequences for it.
Wow. So give me an example of some sort of crime, if you will, that a student may have committed that would bring them to Peer Court.
We deal a lot with possession of marijuana cases. Simple possession cases may not be crimes, but possession on school grounds within 1,000 feet of the school is a crime.
Sure.
We also deal with minors in possession of alcohol. We've dealt with theft cases. We've dealt with harassment cases. We've dealt with criminal mischief cases. Okay. So a broad spectrum of different kinds of things that are generally in and around the school campus.
Okay. I'm going to talk with you in a little bit here, Officer Garrison, but we have a short video clip that I'd like to show before we get into it too far. It's sort of an overview of the Peer Court program, so I think we should take a look at that now, and maybe our viewers will have a little better understanding of what we're talking about. So that's their cue.
Four Cities Peer Court is a restorative justice program that operates within Gresham, Fairview, Wood Village, and Troutdale in cooperation with local police departments, local schools, and the Multnomah County Juvenile Department. Peer Court offers a chance for first-time, low-level juvenile offenders to correct their actions through simulated courtroom proceedings where youth volunteers fill the roles of prosecution, defense, and jury.
That clip told us a little bit about the program that it takes place at Fairview City Hall. Is that correct?
That's where we usually hold it, although we've also done it, I believe, at the Troutdale Police Department as well.
That sounds right.
Okay. Okay, so this involves all 4 jurisdictions. How about you, Officer Garrison? Do you know about that? Is it Gresham, Troutdale, and Fairview? Is that?
Yes.
It's just those 3.
And Wood Village.
And
it is
Wood Village too. Okay. Okay. Good. But usually now, anyway, would you call them trials? Are they trials, or are they just?
They're not exactly trials.
What do you call those?
To qualify to get into the Peer Court, you have to essentially admit that you did whatever it is that you're charged with. So the focus is more on what the punishment or consequence should be.
Okay. And how do you fit into the picture here?
Well, it starts with the police. It starts with the police investigating a crime or in some other cases a violation, just like we would any other. But it's the change or the difference between how we would normally handle it and how if we kick it over to Peer Court is it's determined by us, but it's also determined by if the student or juvenile, because we don't just use it with students in schools who are committing crimes. We can use it with any juvenile who is committing any of these specific violations.
So even if they're not, even if they don't go to school, even if they've dropped out.
Correct, or let's say it's happened over the summer.
Oh, okay.
When they're not in school, we can refer them to Peer Court as well.
Okay, okay. So, and I know we have a little clip too I want to show about the restorative justice program, but You actually work in the schools, is that correct?
Correct.
So is there always a resource officer in the schools here?
In the high schools, yes.
Yeah.
In the area,
Okay.
there's always a school resource officer.
So it's not just a glorified security guard, you're
No.
a whole lot more than that. Yeah. So do you, I'll tell you what, let's take a look at that clip, and then maybe it'll answer some of my questions, and we'll go from there, and I'll delve in a little deeper. Okay. Let's take a look at that clip on the restorative justice.
Restorative justice is a model where we're trying to inform youth of destructive choices that they're making and intervening in new ways other than just punishment and slapping them on the wrist for some type of behavior. It's about interrupting that behavior in the first place in a constructive way, and then referring them to a service such as peer court that's going to inform them about the choices that they're making, how it impacts their lives, and how it impacts their community. And then from that, hopefully those educational pieces, they'll be able to construct good problem-solving techniques in their own lives so they can prevent making those destructive choices in the future.
Does that sound about right?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
So tell me, if you could, can you give me kind of an example of a case that you may have dealt with, a juvenile that you had to refer, or you felt like you should refer to peer court, and why you thought they should be referred to peer court?
Very early in my career as a resource officer, I worked out at San Barlow High School, and within the first week I had a case where there was a group of students who were smoking marijuana at the school.
On the grounds.
On the grounds, right. So at that time, because it was at school, it was a crime. And in speaking with all of these students, none of them were bad kids. They made a horrible, terrible choice, and it was a stupid mistake that I think that can be as a result of peer pressure and without for lack of a better term, youth stupidity. And
I understand
but
that.
they weren't hardened criminals.
Right. You didn't see them as career criminals that you were going to be seeing in the system forever.
But they still needed a consequence.
Right.
And if I had just written it up and forwarded it to the regular juvenile court, essentially very little would have been able to get done as a result of lacking resources within that department. Peer court, on the other hand, is specifically for these kinds of juveniles who admit that they've done something wrong, who don't want to be in that lifestyle, and they want to make a change. And so by forwarding the case to peer court, they were able to receive their consequence, but also were able to learn just how it can affect them, and also progress through it, as opposed to, as the officer in the video was saying, as opposed to just being punished for it.
So hopefully they'll learn something from it and move forward from that. Hopefully become a good role model for everybody else.
And actually, all three of those students involved made it made a difference in their lives and have made a huge turnaround, not just in their in the way in who they're hanging out with and what they do for fun. They're doing great in school. It definitely was kind of a turning point for them.
Right. So there are probably a lot of times when maybe that was the best thing that could have happened to them, because, granted it's a negative thing, but if it catches you early and turns it around early, that's great. How about you, Shelley? How do you see kids changing from being part of peer court?
Well, I think part of it is that they have to come in and meet with their parents, with one of either the program manager or one of the social work students that work with her, so that there's a family meeting initially to get them signed up for peer court, and then they come into what we try to maintain as a very formal setting, where there is a judge sitting on a bench, and we begin the court with the gavel, and there's a formal introduction of the parties, and proving the jury and all those kinds of things that give it a real formality and seriousness. But they also get to talk to their attorney, and those student attorneys go through a training about social, cultural sensitivity and kind of understanding, and just essentially they become counselors as well, to try to talk to that person to try to figure out what's going on in their lives and what they can do to change. But then there's the consequence that happens. Frequently the consequences are things like writing essays. The kids love to give out essays. Sometimes community service, occasionally restitution where appropriate. But most of the time it's just jury sessions. And what it is that every student that comes, or excuse me, every juvenile who comes in front of the court as a defendant has to serve at least 2 times on the jury for other juveniles.
That's perfect.
But frequently part of the punishment or consequence is that they will have to do additional jury services, up to 5 jury services. And so I have been the judge where, you know, I've sat there and seen, you know, the juvenile there as the defendant and then seen them on the jury. And it's always interesting to see, you know, their perspective of, you know, the next person in line who has done sometimes a similar thing and sometimes a very different thing.
Do you find that the jury of peers or the peer attorneys are harder or more lenient on their peers?
It kind of comes and goes depending on what kind of cases are in front of the court. But I'm always amazed at just how many essays they hand out. And like if I think that they've found this particular case egregious, they will give out, you know, 2 500-word essays.
Whoa. Yeah, they're gonna make them work, but that's a good thing. So you've seen it as a positive thing, obviously. Otherwise,
I
you wouldn't
have,
stayed
and
involved.
in fact, I've seen at least one of the students or juveniles that came in as a defendant actually later become one of the peer court attorneys and work with the
Oh,
peer
perfect!
court.
Because they've been on the other side, so they have a lot of credibility there than being as one of the attorneys. Now, I understand that the Gresham Police Department and the other police departments have been very involved and very supportive of this program. Do you find that to be true?
Yes. Yeah, I do. It's it kind of ebbs and flows, as does our call load with juveniles, but we've been extremely supportive of.
That's
of
great.
peer court.
Yeah, and I don't think the program would work if the police department was not supportive of the program.
Well, and we see the value in it. I mean, it does us a great service in holding these youth accountable, and
Well,
it's been great.
you know, get them, take care of it now when the crimes are small, and you don't have to deal with them later when it could be a larger situation. I also understand that schools themselves have to be amenable to this. They have to be open to being part of the peer court system, or are they required to be part of it? Do you know?
It's not so much up to the school, but it is every single school that I have done a peer court case in, or with a student from various schools, they've all been extremely supportive of it. They want the same thing as we do. We want them to be held accountable, and the schools do too.
I can't imagine that it wouldn't be a benefit.
Yeah.
Besides the intervention of just not having it prosecuted criminally, it does mean that this kind of thing, if it doesn't happen again, is expungible as soon as they become adults.
Well, that's
so
great.
it can be blotted off the record
That's
altogether.
great. Now, I know that most organizations, this one is a program of Northwest Family Services, does get by with donations and grants and that kind of thing. I understand the Multnomah Bar Foundation has actually been very instrumental in keeping the peer court system alive. Is that right?
They've been very generous with us.
Good. So thank you to the Multnomah Bar Foundation. They've also granted MetroEast here too. They're a wonderful organization to work with, and it's great to have that kind of support in the community. So, anything else that we should know about the peer court system from the perspective of the judge or the officer?
Just that, I can't say enough about it. It's been extremely helpful to law enforcement, and again, just holding youth accountable for the lesser crimes.
Right.
And as you pointed out earlier, it hopefully nips things in the bud so that we can prevent them from going down that road
path
of criminality.
Well, one question about that: if you think something should be referred to peer court and the defendant does not want to, do they have that option of not going to peer court?
Oh, yes.
They do. Okay. They do. And frankly, peer court is it's kind of a win-win for everybody, including the defendant. But if they don't want to,
they don't want to, then
that's kind of their loss.
Yeah. Would you see it that way too? That
I would, because I mean, to actually go through the juvenile system means that you become charged with a crime and could end up with something on your record
that is not expungible. Correct.
Can be.
Could be. Could possibly be.
I mean,
Plus the whole process, I think, of going through that whole system, especially with your peers. And afterwards, the peers at the school, do you ever see any interaction there? I mean, I wonder what that dynamic is like. I guess I could ask the kids that. I'll be in our next segment, how they deal with that.
I also think it's a real benefit to the students who participate as the attorneys. They switch back and forth between being prosecutors and defense attorneys, and they learn speaking skills and, you know, just kind of general confidence things. So I think it's a great benefit, you know, just as a program. And you don't have to be a student of one of those 4 schools or the 4 communities in order to participate as a student attorney.
That's a good thing to know. Well, that was a great segue because we're out of time, but our next segment is going to be with the 2 of the peer attorneys. So I'll ask them a little bit more about that. Thank you both of you for being on tonight to talk about that. And please don't go away. We'll be right back with more about Peer Corp. We'll be talking with the peer attorneys themselves who are students in the schools here in East County.
What local community media is to us is literally our lifeline to what's going on in the lives around us.
The absolute most important thing that happens in your neighborhood.
People's local communities are usually what's most important to them.
Because we're the faces, the smiles, the peoples, and the personalities of the community.
To not only give people a voice, but to have their voice heard.
Some tips? I got some tips for you. I'm the county health officer. I got some tips. You ready? Don't do that. Do not do that. That is not what you... Bad. That is bad. This is what you want. You ready? Here's my tip. Did you notice that form? Look at that. I block the sneeze into the elbow, not the hand. The hand, bad. Hi, nice to meet you. You don't want to shake this hand. This hand is getting in the way of your health. Much better. Have a good flu season.
Have you ever wanted to create a TV show of your own? Come check out the basic editing class at MetroEast. Our trainers will give you the skills you need to flex your creative muscles. Using our state-of-the-art IMAX and Final Cut Pro 10, you can work with your own videos, add graphics and music, and even drop in cool special effects like green screen and slow motion. The best part? No experience is required. All ages and skill levels are welcome. Find out more on our website at metroeast.org.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Welcome back to Community Hotline, and thank you for staying with us. Now we're going into a second part of our three-part series on Peer Court. It's a program of Northwest Family Services. We're here in Gresham at MetroEast Community Media. With me now we have two peer attorneys, Kevin Barrera, who is Four Cities Peer Court peer attorney. Thanks for being here, Kevin.
Thank you.
And Jacqueline Nelson, who I may call Jackie?
Yes.
Who is also a peer attorney. Thanks, Jackie, from
you.
Four Cities Peer Court. So you two are the attorneys.
Right.
Sounds very impressive.
Yes.
Kevin, how long have you been involved in the program?
I think it was like a year after they finally started officially. I've been doing this for 5 years volunteering now.
Wow.
And I still volunteer when I'm able to. Unfortunately, I work a lot, so.
So you're not in school anymore?
No, I graduated in 2013 from Gresham High School.
Okay, so now you're out in the real world, but you're still volunteering sometime. Yeah. Why are you still volunteering?
It's just a great environment, really. I like it. I love meeting new people. I love helping out the community as well. It's just a great thing to do on your spare time. Cool. It benefits you a lot, makes your speaking skills a lot better and whatnot. It's just a good place to be.
Good. Well, how about you, Jackie? How did you get involved in the program?
I'm from Centennial High School, and my mom works in the district as well, and she had a friend who had a kid that was involved and he was graduating, and she mentioned to me how they're always looking for volunteers and how it's a really good thing for kids to do if they're interested in something like law and potentially wanting to do that with their future. And as a freshman going into high school, it was something I was thinking about a lot. And I took it as a really good opportunity to try out a future career potentially, which a lot of people I know don't get the opportunity to do.
No, absolutely not.
So it's been a really great experience. I've been with the program for 4 years.
So you're both pretty much long time participants of the program. Are either of you interested in going into law as a career?
I have been for quite some time, and so this being my senior year and going to college and thinking about what I'm majoring in, this program has really helped condition me for that.
Yeah, it gives you a pretty good feel for what it's really like, I imagine. How about you?
I did a lot as well, but then I went and I shadowed a couple of attorneys, kind of get the real feel of how it really is in the real courts or whatnot. And I saw a lot of different positions, being a clerk or whatnot there and stuff. And so my options kind of opened up a lot more.
Yeah,
to
well,
whether
law isn't just being an attorney,
is
it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So once I saw that, I kind of hold off a little before running too fast into all that. And, I'm still debating
still checking it out?
Yeah,
weighing your options?
Exactly.
That sounds good. Tell me, since you've been doing this, how do you feel it impacts your peers, the people that actually come to you and that are defendants? How does that affect them? Can you give me an example of somebody that you've worked with as an attorney that you think you've made a difference or helped to make a difference in their life?
Well, there's one time where this young kid came in. I believe he was about 14 years of age at the time, and this was a good 2 years ago. And he had been caught with alcohol and marijuana, but they had just charged him with marijuana, and this was at school. And he just came in there and he really didn't care. He really didn't take everything serious. And I told him, I was like, it depends. Your consequences are going to depend on how serious you take this right now. And so I talked to him, and I guess one of the big reasons why he did all that stuff, kind of because he was depressed or whatnot, because his mom, his father isn't in his life. His mom wasn't always home because she was working 2+ jobs, and so he kind of had all that freedom, and didn't know where to put it towards. So I had talked to him, and I told him if he had thought about his future and about helping his mom. When I had told him that this could be expunged from his record if he actually put the effort to do that and actually took it serious, and I told him that he could possibly just flip around his whole life, and how would he like it if he got this expunged and then right after graduating he got himself a good job and helped his mom, you know, so his mom could be at home more.
And that was something that,
and so I told him, and
struck a chord with
once
him.
I told him that, you know, it just totally touched him, and he, just like that, just turned serious and was like, all right, let's do this. And to now, he's going to graduate this year, and I'm so happy to say that he's going to graduate. He totally just flipped everything around, and ever since that, that's been like his motivation. You know, I got to help my mom. I'm going to do it, you know, and so it was touching, and I'm proud of him.
That's going to make you feel good.
It really feels good.
How do you know? How do you know what to say to somebody to really get to them? You know, I mean, you know, you struck a chord with that kid, but do you sometimes, Jackie, have you had times where you felt like you weren't reaching somebody, or do you find it's usually successful?
I've had a couple instances where I haven't necessarily worked with the defendant personally, but I know that they went through the court, and there'll be people that go to my school even, and I notice a kind of a change in them after they go through the court process and then come back into society, given the knowledge that they have been given by their attorney, you know, by the attorney mentors. And it was interesting to see how being an attorney and like having those kids who know that I'm an attorney at school, it's kind of like being like a walking message or reminder of like to, you know,
mind your
to
P's
those
and
people,
Q's
right,
here.
right, or just to like, you know, to remind them that it's a choice to be a destructive or contributing member to society. And there was one kid I know who was expelled from his school for what he had done, and I worked with him, and he ended up going to my school, and the kid that came through the court from day one is completely turned around, as Kevin mentioned. It's just, it's a weird thing to see a kid do a 180 like that.
It's feel good, and
it feels
it
really good.
puts you as a role model. Really,
Right.
It does. We have a short clip, I think, that that was provided by Northwest Family Services about the youth voices in this program. So I think we should take a look at that, and then we can talk a little bit more about this. Let's see if we can watch that now.
There's this really cool program that you gotta check out. You know, you need to come. It really helps you out with your resume. It makes you look good. Recommends you to schools. You know, it's a really good way to help you get into colleges and stuff. And plus, you get to meet other people from other schools that you may know, make new friends. I mean, that's how I met my friend Omar. I mean, you need to come to this program. Check it out. At least, you know, you don't have to be involved in it the first time. You can come, sit down, watch, you know, observe. If you like it, then, you know, we can get you to attorney training, whatever you want to be. You know, just need to come through. You can come with me.
If you're interested, like, I don't think that it's something that's like scary. It's fun to like sit and meet other people that are in the jury with you and just sort of be around like people your own age or near your age. It's sort of like a good way to help your community, but also sort of be part of a group and meet new people.
This is not only a really good way to help overcome a fear of speech, because lots of people are really afraid of speaking in public. And this really helps you do it because it's not that long of speech giving, but you're still giving it in front of people, so it helps, you know, it helps condition you. And also, it's just really fun because not only are you, as they said, giving back to the community, but you're also impacting someone else's life.
I would probably tell you to get involved because it's a great opportunity to help your community and help your peers. And you just learn so much from each individual case. It's great.
So Jackie, tell me, would you encourage other kids to become involved in the peer court program? Do you think it's a beneficial thing to do?
I do, and I mostly would say that just because volunteering to this generation is not as appealing as it used to be. It's really hard getting kids out there doing stuff anymore, and a lot of kids find themselves stuck then their senior year when they A, realize they have nothing to put on a resume, but B, just kind of like the empty feeling of I just spent all of my youth kind of benefiting myself. Right. So I think this is a really unique and interesting way to volunteer. Like it would be appealing to a lot of kids my age, but also just I would encourage somebody to join just because you get to directly see the results of what you're doing. It's something that you can see the change right in front of you, right as it's happening.
You make the impact right there. Whereas a lot of times volunteering, you don't see exactly what you've done or how you've made a change. Would you agree with that, Kevin?
Most definitely. I mean, in the generation now, really, kids coming to middle school and high school, you know, they don't really have much to do besides sports or whatnot after school. And if there is, they don't know how to get involved. So, I mean, this is such a good program that can not only help you help your community or whatnot and help others, but it also opens up the doors to other programs that you could also volunteer as well. I mean, with some of the consequences that the students do, they can choose any place that they want to go and volunteer to do their community service at, and then they'll go and like paint new walls with graffiti that's on it. They'll do that. They'll pick up trash around. And so sometimes when students see that, they'll be like, well, you know what, this isn't as bad. I want to help out again. And they're not even like forced to do it. They'll decide on their own, you know what, this is a pretty cool thing to do, help out the community. I have time to spare.
Right.
You
That's
know,
a great thing. I mean, volunteering to me is a really, really important thing that should be a part of everybody's life. And I was brought up with a family that did a lot of volunteer work, and so it's just sort of, you know, it's more a habit than anything for me, and I always get more out of it than I ever put into it. Why do you think it is that kids don't volunteer as much anymore? Just the way of life has changed, and it just doesn't become part of their everyday, or maybe it's just not expected.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is just that we've kind of, I think the society and like youth has shifted their focus a little bit. I know a lot of great people who have really good intentions, but it seems like everything that they're working towards is really self-involved, right?
Yeah,
and I don't think people realize that as much anymore. And so this is a really good program to kind of reinvent the idea of giving time back to other people, and then changing kind of the environment around you. And it's kind of, it'll be like a chain reaction. Like people see you doing it, they'll want to do it, and it's a really good way to start that off.
You did make a good point about on your resume. So when you're applying to colleges, they don't look just for what your grades are, do they?
No.
They want to know what your extracurricular activities are, if you've done volunteer work, and that's an important part of it, is it not? Yeah.
It is.
So are you filling out job or applications now for college, or will be soon?
Yeah, I just finished my college applications, and we're starting scholarships now. And definitely for scholarships, they want to see something unique and different. And this program, hands down, is one of the most unique one of the most unique things you could possibly do, and it really makes you stand out.
Yeah, I think that would be a great thing to have on your resume.
Yeah, they also, Kim, one of the big founders of this, that keeps this program still going till this day. I mean, they can write really good letters of recommendations as well. Not only for like scholarships or whatnot. If you're looking to get a job, they could totally write a really good letter recommendation. And
you're also getting to know the judges, and you're getting to know
get a lot of contacts,
police officers,
and you meet a lot of people.
And don't they have social workers that come from Portland State? Am I right in that that they come in and do internships here? So you're making great connections, and the networking and just the experience, I think, would be a great thing for kids to look at doing. Plus, it sounds like it's fun.
It is.
It's really fun.
Yeah. It's not the volunteer work that you dread or something that you really have to set aside your time to. It's something you could actually look forward to.
So how do you get to know each other pretty well during this whole process? I mean, how many peer court attorneys are there right now in this program? Do you know?
There's roughly about, I believe, like 6 or 5.
Yeah, 5 or 6 like pretty consistent attorneys. There's some that'll step in every now and then and do it when they can, but yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate.
Do you get to know each other pretty well through that process?
You could choose to. I mean,
yeah, you could choose to, or not.
Or you could just come in, do your thing, and volunteer, and then get out. You don't have to be social if you don't want to be. But I mean, I really don't see why not. I love meeting new people. I love talking to the person I'm gonna be going against, just for the fact that it's like, hey, it's competition.
So, what's your favorite part of the whole process? I mean, is it a competition to see if I can?
The statements and just challenging myself. You know, just setting more challenges, whether it's bettering my speech, whether it's bettering my self-confidence on being able to actually point out facts and point out, you know, good points. My best part about it all is just saying the closing statements, the arguments.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part, because that's when I just I just recap everything and just hit them hard with what they did bad or whatnot. I personally like prosecuting better than defending, but defending, I like talking to the defending, getting to know them as well.
Is this a power trip for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jackie, has it changed your confidence level, or were you always a very self-confident person?
No, it does. It really does, and it does it without you even really knowing it. I remember my first case, I was very I sounded like I was coming straight out of the peer court book. I was, you know, I'd sentence outlines. Every sentence started the same. I mean, I used the key terms, and now I feel really comfortable in court. I can say things how I want to say them. It's a little bit more creative. I feel like I can get my point across better because I'm speaking with more confidence. And that really just carries through in every aspect of life.
I would think, you know, that it would. And before we close, Kevin, tell me, did it help you in school?
Oh yeah, a lot. It really did. It made me a lot more organized.
Ah.
That's the number one thing. It made me a lot organized, made me be prepared for like the case notes. I had to be prepared before time, made me prepared before school when I would go, whether it's work. Now I'm way more organized. It taught me that. Good lesson.
Good. So we have confidence, we have good on your resume, you're more organized, it's fun.
Helps out the community.
Helps out the community. You're learning about volunteering, how great it is. So hey, that sounds like a win-win situation.
It's a good circle to be in.
Pardon?
It's a good circle to be in.
I think so. I think so. Thank you both very much for being here, and congratulations to you for being, you know, an important part of your peer community, and really it affects all of us. And so you've made a difference in the community. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, you bet. And don't go away. We'll be right back. We're going to talk with the last group that is going to talk about peer court. We're going to be talking with some people about what happens after the kids leave peer court and how this all ties together. So don't go away. We'll be right back with Community Hotline. Okay, just sit tight.
My favorite thing about community media is how people find their voice and tell their story.
It's the message of, by, and for a community.
We're a gathering place because it gets people of all sorts of different backgrounds underneath one roof.
It's art, it's technology.
A snapshot of our community.
Going live.
In 3, 2, 1.
Did you see that? I just prevented somebody else from getting my sickness. Do you wash your hands?
You're on your way to meet up with friends, but you can't seem to get anywhere quickly. You don't want your friends to be annoyed, so you text. You're on your way. Five seconds is the average time your eyes are off the road while texting while driving. Make sure you get where you're going.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Hi, and welcome back to Community Hotline. I'm Monica Weitzel, and we are continuing with the last part of our three-part segment on Peer Court, which is a program of Northwest Family Services. And with me for the last segment, I have Lee Dayfield, who is with Friends of Nadaka. You are the chair of the program at Nadaka, correct? Yes. And Harold Burke-Sivers, am I saying it? Sivers, thank you. I forgot to find out ahead of time. Harold Burke-Sivers, board president for Northwest Family Services. Thanks for being here, both of you.
Oh, thanks.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Harold, do you mind if I start with you? Northwest Family Services recently, fairly recently, took over this program from the Police Activities League that is no longer in charge of that, or no longer here in East County. Now that Northwest Family Services has taken over the Peer Court, how do you see that fitting into the mission of Northwest Family Services?
Well, Peer Court fits perfectly into the mission of Northwest Family Services. Our mission is to empower people, individuals and families, with the vital skills needed for a lifetime, to help people live and to grow and succeed. And what I love about Northwest Family Services is that it takes a holistic approach to providing family service. So it's not just one particular thing or another. We look at the whole family, the whole person. So for example, say you are single and you're looking for that special someone. We can help. We have services to provide to help look for that right person for you. We help you with communication skills, with the vital skills necessary, because once you get married, I've been married for a while, and sometimes husbands and wives have problems communicating.
It's not always easy. Yes.
So they provide communication skills with counseling, and when you start having children, programs for the kids, which is where Peer Court comes in. We have drug prevention, alcohol, gang prevention, leadership building, and so Peer Court ties perfectly into what we're trying to do at Northwest Family Services.
And what I like is your enthusiasm for it. So I do know that Northwest Family Services does a lot in the area of prevention of the drug problems and gang problems and that kind of thing. So the Peer Court does sound like a great fit in that they're nipping something in the bud at an early time before it becomes a lifelong sort of a way of life to become have that criminal element as part of their life. Lee, you on the other hand here you're at the very tail end of the Peer Court process. Yes. So you are with Nadaka. Maybe tell our viewers, if those who may not know, what Friends of Nadaka is all about, and about the park itself, if you could. Just to give us a little overview before we talk about how this ties into Peer Court.
Friends of Nadaka are involved in the Nadaka Park and Garden Project, which is Nadaka is now a 12-acre park. We're building, we hope to break ground this spring. We're building about 40 community garden spots and a nature-based play area. There's 10 acres of natural forest there, and we should have a covered picnic shelter. So we have plenty of opportunities for people to do community service at Nadaka.
And that's how
forever.
This all ties in, forever. Yeah, so Nadaka is a great place for anybody who wants to do volunteer work, but when those tough peer attorneys are in there meeting out their the punishment or the repercussions, the consequences of the criminal acts, one of the things they do is assign them to community service. And Nadaka has been the lucky recipient of some of that community service. Tell me how that all works.
Well, we've been working with the Four Cities Peer Court group for at least 3 years now, I would say. And so a lot of them are instructed to do community service. And I've been in contact with Kim over the years, and she'll say, are you having any cleanup activities at Nadaka? And I'll say yes and give her the schedule of when they are, and do you mind if we send some of the students over that need to do community service? And I say, no, that's fine. Sometimes she has come with the group when it's not a scheduled event, so we're just working solely with the Peer Court group.
So how does that work into the community? Like when the kids come out there, whether it's, if they're there as part of an event, like a regularly scheduled cleanup that anybody in the community could participate in, do people know who the kids are that are doing community service?
No.
So that's not something where they have to feel like,
no,
I'm the bad kid that's trying to do better.
Nobody knows that they're there as a result of being assigned to do community service. And most of the time, I don't know either until I am required to fill out forms saying
Same.
that they have been there and done 4 hours of work or something.
And how do kids respond to doing the volunteer work? They're the ones that are doing the community service. How do they feel about it? Can you get a feel for that?
Most of the time, they feel really good because they can see that they have accomplished something. And a lot of times, one of the really nice things about it is when the students are there doing some kind of removing invasives or mulching or whatever, a lot of times people from the community walk through Nadaka and they'll always stop and tell them how much they appreciate the work that they're doing there in the park. And I think that's really good for the students to hear that.
That's really good positive reinforcement for what
Yes.
they're doing.
Yes.
Harold, how do you feel about that? Do you think that having the kids go out and doing community service like that is a positive thing for them? I mean,
oh, there's no question about it. I mean, I think we live in a culture today where kids have a tendency to be self-centered, to focus on themselves, that can't think of their life past the next hour, that can't pull themselves from in front of video games and smartphones and those kinds of things. So I think going out there and realizing that life is not really about you, it's about making a gift of yourself for other people. And volunteering is a beautiful way to think less of yourself and think more about the needs of other people. And I think the way Pure Court has structured this, where some of the penalties for these crimes is to do community service. And so, I think at first the kids may think, okay, I got to go out here and rake this thing. But in doing that act, they actually start to learn more about themselves, more about the community, and then become, I think, then empowered to be able to take better control of themselves, to have a deeper understanding of who they are, and really become better persons for it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it just, in my opinion, I would think that it would help make them see themselves more as a part of that community, because we're all, little cogs in the wheel, and everybody needs everybody else to get along. And I think that would be a great way to get them to see, you are important, you make a difference, and we all need each other to get along. I think that sounds like a song or something, but really, it's true. Yeah. Have you seen that in some of the kids? You actually get to see some of the kids working. I know as the board president, you're kind of over here. Do you get down and get involved with the kids?
I'll tell you. I'm not from Oregon. I'm from New Jersey. I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. Dad not around. Actually, I was in a situation a lot of these kids that we serve find themselves in. Okay. So I know what that's like.
Yeah. So you can relate to that.
And I worked a single mom. I mean, brother, I'm the oldest of 4. I saw how hard my mom worked. I'm the first person in my family ever to go to college. And I had an academic scholarship at the University of Notre Dame. Nice. Because I worked hard, not because I'm a genius or anything like that. And so when I look at these kids, I see myself. And for me, I had other outlets, Boy Scouts, through the church youth group, and those kinds of things that, and I lived in a neighborhood where it could have easily went one way or the other. There's no question. But my mom was very strict, and helped steer us in a direction that led us to be able to empower myself to see a better future than what was presented to me.
Right.
So and so to be able to do that same thing for kids today through Northwest Family Services and Pure Court is just wonderful. I mean, I actually went to Pure Court, and I do have a background in law enforcement. I was the president of the Western Association of Campus Law Enforcement Administrators. I was chair of the board, a governor-appointed position for the Department of Public Safety Standards and Training
that oversees
the police training for all the police officers in the state, and that kind of thing. So I've gone to Pure Court, and I actually saw the process. I was very impressed, very impressed. Not only with the attorneys, with the jury, but how seriously the process was taken. I really saw how the defendants, had to get up there, had to testify, they had to swear in, and you see them thinking, wow, okay, I've got to do these essays, I got to do community service, but if this were another situation, instead of going home with mom and dad, I might be going to jail.
Right.
You really see the change, and then when you hear the record get expunged, they think, okay, and the judge was very clear, you got a free one here. Next time, this may lead to other consequences. You see the wheels start to spin, like, you know, and hopefully this will be a process where they really begin to learn and to grow and to mature, quite frankly. You know, I dodged a bullet here. If I, you know, change my behavior, if I make that decision to not be a product of my environment, I can get my record expunged and I can just continue forward, you know, with the rest of my life. And I think that's something very important for our kids to know and to learn and to understand today.
I agree. You know, you talked about, you know, your mother helped steer you in the right direction. Do you think Northwest Family Services, with its different programs, including especially Pure Court, fills kind of a void in some kids' lives where, you know, like you said, a lot of times parents they're busy working, dad's not around, whatever.
There is no question about it. And I'll tell you something. Even though my dad wasn't around, I had, as a young boy, teenager, I had to find other men because, you know, my mom couldn't teach me how to be a man. She could be the best mom that she could be, but she couldn't teach me how to be a man. So I had to find other men, other role models in my life. So my wrestling coach, my teachers, my scoutmaster, those are the folks.
Or it could have been the gang member on the corner.
Or exactly. And, see, and that's why Northwest Family Services is so important. It provides those positive outlets, positive role models. And the thing what I love about the peer court piece of it is that their peers actually become people that become mentors for them. Not just adults, but they're people in their own class, people that may be a few years ahead of them that are actually in this process of determining, you know, what their penalties would be. I mean, it's just a wonderful way, I think, to really empower kids to make good decisions that will have impact for the rest of their lives.
That's great. You know, I don't know if Pure Court is looking for other organizations with which to do community service, but would you encourage an organization that has a need for kids that come in and help them? Would you encourage them to become a recipient of that?
They're hard workers.
Are they?
And they do a great job. I mean, they have at NADACA.
So your partnership with the Pure Court has been beneficial to NADACA.
It's been wonderful.
How many hours of work do you think you've gotten out of these
you
kids?
Know, I meant to add that up, but I'm sure it's a lot, and we can actually use that volunteer time to apply for grants, matching funds when we apply for grants for NADACA. So it's actually a double win for NADACA.
Do you know if they're ever looking for other organizations to send kids to do community service?
Yeah, I think we're always trying to find different avenues for kids to help make a difference in their lives. In fact, many high schools require some kind of volunteer service.
Right, most of them do now.
People, most of them, you know, but what it is like, okay, you have to do this in order to graduate. But I'd like it to see it become a thing where the kids have a volunteer experience and go, oh my goodness, this is something that I'd like to continue doing on my own. And this is something that's an important part of being, what it means to be a member of a community. This is what it means to help the environment. I mean, by cleaning up and, you know, to make it nice for the next person that's going to enjoy that park or whatever. I mean, so I think this is something that definitely should be more widespread and have a deeper impact on the life of our young people.
Yeah, I agree. I think that getting those kids out to volunteer for the first time, make it a positive experience for them. You know, that's a good way to keep them coming and keep them doing it again, and to do it as a way to get out of more severe consequences.
Well, I
it's
remember
just a
volunteering
win-win.
in high school for a homeless shelter.
Yeah.
You know, serving food like on a Wednesday. So give up our lunch period to go to this homeless shelter, like I think it was on Wednesdays, to help, you know, and even today I still do volunteer work. Through St. Vincent de Paul Society, helping the poor and things like that, and Northwest Family Services. So I still get my hands in there dirty because it's that important. And to pass it on to my kids, so they see it as important.
And you always get more out of it than you put into it.
That's right.
That's what I always told my kids, and they volunteer now, so, you know, it's all good. We're already out of time. It went way too fast. I would have loved to have talked to you more, but maybe we can come back again.
Yes.
In the meantime, thank you both for coming on the show tonight. And thank you all for watching this special edition of Community Hotline. I've loved talking with people from Pure Court. You can see that they're doing fantastic work in the community. And if there's kids out there, they're looking for something to do, to add to their resume, to have fun, to meet people, to, you know, get better social skills or learn some skills that they might be able to use in their future, Pure Court is a way to go. Northwest Family Services, wonderful opportunities there, and also at NADACA. So check it out. Check out their websites. We'll have all that on the screen for you, so you'll be able to get more information. I'm Monica Weitzel. We'll see you here next week. Good night.